Hello! Okay, so today we are going to look at a few finishing touches to our Wordle file to make it look a little more professional and give a better overall user experience. You can see here we've added a settings page, and on here we can change the game speed to make the tiles flip a little quicker. We've got a new spell check functionality which can be switched on or off, and we've also added a dark mode. Back on the main screen you can see there are no longer any row or column headers, and we've also hidden away the workbook tabs. Finally, everything is locked, so no one can edit the objects themselves or type anything into the cells. For ease of use though, we've added in an admin mode that can be accessed with a password. This final version of the workbook is available for download in the description, but let's take a quick look through these additional updates. Okay, so first of all, let's use this admin mode functionality, and this asks you to enter a password, and what this does is it unlocks all the sheets, shows and unhides the tabs, and re-shows the column and row headers. So if we go into the code, we'll just have a quick look, and we're going to have a look at this new admin module that I've created. And you can see here that admin mode just takes in a boolean, which is true or false, to say whether or not admin mode is on or off. And we can say if admin mode is off, then we're going to hide the tabs, we're going to hide the rows and columns, and we're going to lock the sheet. So first of all here, we set display workbook tabs and display headings to be equal to the admin mode on off. And then we just check to say, okay, if on off is false, so i.e. admin mode is set to false, what do we want to do? We want to make the calculations tab very hidden, the words tab very hidden, and we want to protect the main Wordle tab. We use the password admin, and these additional settings just mean that we can't change anything else. It just locks all the objects to make sure people can't edit them. Conversely, if we are saying that admin mode is true, then we want to unprotect the sheet with the password, and we make the tabs visible again. Finally, we just make sure that the main tab is selected. Next up, we have a toggle admin function, and this is just a wrapper to call that admin mode, whether it's true or false. So first of all, we just check if the workbook tabs are displayed. If they're not, then that means we are already not in admin mode, so we want to activate it. And to do so, we create an input box and check that the password matches admin. If it does, we can set admin mode to be true. Otherwise, we don't do anything. And in the case where the workbook tabs are already displayed, that means we're in admin mode, so the toggle is going to switch admin mode off. Moving on now to the settings page. This is just accessed by a cog up here that I've assigned a macro to go to the settings tab. This is where we can set game speed, set dark mode, and set the spell check to be on or off. So first of all, starting with the game speed, if you're not sure how this works, I've got a separate tutorial on making a button like this that increases and decreases game speed. But essentially, this number here is linked to our calculations page, where we've got game speed here is 4. Every time that button is changed, the calcs page will update. And now all we do is that in our code, in our time delay function that we created, we divide the delay amount that's been given, we divide that by whatever number is in this game speed. So if it's 2, it will take half the time. If it's 4, it will take a quarter of the time. If it's 0.5, it will take twice the time. So we've just added that in as a factor to this delay amount. Next up, let's take a look at dark mode. And again, with these iOS buttons that we've got here, I've got a separate tutorial on how to create them if you want to go and have a look at that. But really all this does is switch on and off, and it controls the colours within both the settings page and the main Wordle page. So if we take a look back at our code, when we switch dark mode on off, you can see that all it does is, based on whether or not it's switching on and off, it sets colours for the font and for the background. We then use those colours on both the settings page, where we say the background settings, and for the objects that we want to change, to set those colours, and then the same for the main Wordle page. You can see here we're calling this lockit function. All that does is it unlocks the page so that we can edit objects, and then relocks again once everything's been done. Finally, we've got a spell check functionality. So previously we could enter any single combination of letters, whether or not it was a real word. And what this functionality does is it won't let you do that, just like actual Wordle. However, this is limited, and as it says on the settings page, spell check is only able to check words against the internal word list. So the way this works is once you've put a word in, it will check it against our word list, and if it isn't in the word list, it will give you that message. Now obviously we've got about 5,000 words here. That's not all the 5-letter words in the English language. So there will be occasionally some words that should be valid that get flagged. And let's just take a quick look in the code to see how this has been put together. So the spell check on/off again just sets on our calculations page a yes or a no. So we've got these settings, we've got the one for dark mode and the one for spell check. So this will always say either Y or N for yes or no. And then when we go back to our code, in our enter key function, so this is what happens when the enter key is clicked, we've added in down here a check that the word is valid. And this is an extra check before we actually call the check guess function. And what we're saying here is, okay, either is valid word has to be true, and I'll show you the is valid word function in a second, or the M11 range on our calculations page has to equal no. So either the word has to be valid or spell check has to be switched off. That's what that's saying for that to go ahead. Now the is valid word function, all this does is it gets the word, it puts it in a string called the word, and then it loops through the word list to see if that word appears. If it does, it returns true, and if it doesn't, it returns false. The final thing that we've had to add in, because we're now protecting the sheets, every time we want to edit something, we need to unlock the sheets and then relog them. So for now, whenever we have a key click, we've added in this lock it functionality to be able to unlock, make any changes that we want to, and then lock again at the end. And all this lock it does is turn off or turn on objects being protected. So by setting objects to not be protected, that means we can edit them and then we can stop them being edited again by the user by turning this back on. Hopefully that all makes sense. This has been much more of a quick code walkthrough than a full tutorial. This version is available to download in the description, and all the code is unlocked, so you can fully take a look through it yourself in more detail. If you've got any comments or questions, please put them down below. I will get back to you. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more of this kind of content, and I'll see you next time.